One. Welcome to the Cultural Connect podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Nales. So this is episode 3 right here, and I decided that I wanted to show you guys one of my very good friends. He's from New York City, but he lives in Los Angeles right now. And in terms of branding as an artist and ways that you can brand yourself outside of music, I thought that he would be a very good story to share. So AG47, right?
What's up, man? What's up, Nales? How you living, bro?
Living good, doing good, man. So I guess you could just give a little background story about yourself and let people know where you're from and what you're about.
All right, so a little background story about this person named AG47. My real name is Aaron Gregory. I was born to a Trinidadian mom and a Trinidadian father. Most of my family is actually from the Caribbean, of the islands of Trinidad and Tobago. I was born in Manhattan, New York, and I was raised in a single mother household. I got to see my dad occasionally, which was cool. But I grew up mostly being raised by a woman and trying to discover being a man through like a woman's teachings. So years later, Brandon and I met in college. I started making music actually in 2010 or 2009 when I started writing poetry. I was actually inspired by artists like 50 Cent, and I was inspired by my cousin because he started making music. So transitioning from high school to college, I met Brandon along the way, and he was also inspired by music as well. And we kind of connected and developed our style over the years. Like he was the producer and he also could songwrite as well. So he was on music with me. And years later, man, I just developed my passion for music, and it allowed me to expand into experimenting more with my writing skills. Like, for example, I got myself a journal along the years and started sharing my feelings and expressing myself through writing in a journal. And I just started writing new things that I was learning along the way. So as I grew and developed as a human being, like it allowed me to do more for my music, like wanting to expand and get an app or writing a book or developing a podcast. So as an artist, I could say that as a person, you just have to keep growing and keep finding out things about yourself, like things that you may be good at or things that you aren't good at. And if you aren't good at it, how can you learn to become better at it? Or how can you build a team around you that will provide someone who can school you in that area? So that's pretty much what led me on this journey, bro, and got me here to this point right now.
Of course. Now, when you moved from New York, well, you were living in Philly at the time. That's where I met AG. He was living in Philadelphia. Tell me a little bit about like your journey moving from the East Coast and then going out West and like pursuing music full time.
So the hardest thing for me in dealing with this was actually being far away from family, because my family is like my support system, and I don't know, whenever I'm around family, I feel like there's so much love shared, like, and it's what's the word? Unconditional love. So just moving away from that and coming out West, where I just would have to make new friends and start a new journey. It was mind-boggling. It was what's the word? I tried to come at it with an intrepid mindset, like where, okay, I'm making this move now, I'm gonna have to make the best of it, because my mom already lived out here. So my main supporter, who was out here, kind of gave me the courage to be like, okay, I can do this, I'll be all right. But I was still leaving my other family members on the East Coast and my close friends. So it just taught me how to learn more balance and be more independent.
And what was that first step for you? Like as soon as you got there, what was the first step that you made?
I linked up with my mom. I actually was living with my mom. The first goal was to get a job so that I could, like, start my income and start paying off student loans, as most of us all are paying back. So it was just to hit the ground running, keep making music. I was always recording myself. I've been recording myself, making music for about 10 plus years now. So just getting better with my craft, going on YouTube, still learning how to mix and engineer and Logic. And yeah, I've always been a person that's dedicated to learning. So I knew when I came out to LA, I would have to learn some new things to adjust to my environment. So
yeah. Now, for artists that are moving, like let's say it's a lot easier now. I feel like if we would have started, let's say if we would have did what we did back in 2010, right now, it'd have been super easy for us. So I always say that to myself, right? If anybody doesn't know, I used to be a producer back in the day, and this is the first artist I actually produced for was AG47. And because we knew each other, and I had to actually, I think I went in like one of your drawers one time looking for something, and I found the notebook with your lyrics in it, and that's how
Oh,
I figured out that you rap. I didn't even know at the point. So that's what started it all. Now, obviously, like fast forward to right now, artists don't necessarily need to move to like Los Angeles or Atlanta or New York to do so, to like get their music going. But do you think that it gave you an advantage, or do you think you could have did this still in Philadelphia or New York?
I think with the mindset I have now, I could have done this anywhere. It just took me uh, learning how to develop a team. That's what it took for me. Because anybody, you can be bi-coastal and still be successful as an artist or entrepreneur or whatever you want to be. So
Of
that's
course.
how I'm looking at it.
And your team, tell me about your team. What's like the most important players in your team?
I think the most important players in my team right now, and as far as my career goes, are mentors, people who inspire me and teach me about financial savings, and people who tell me how to invest in my future, and an engineer, somebody, because I love mixing my music and I want it to sound how I envision it. So if I could have an engineer on my team, which I do have right now, I'm all set. Also, having a videographer, someone to film you content all the time, is very important to your team. Being able to shoot videos and just being able to, it doesn't even have to be music. You can just be giving yourself of who you are on camera to people. So a video guy is very important. And lastly, it would be like a marketing team. So those, I think, four things I described: a mentor, engineer, videographer, and uh, a marketing team. And also, obviously, I have producers who send me beats. So that's my core five as an artist that helps keep me afloat.
Now, for the producers that are like looking to get like connected with new artists, what's the best way that you find new producers yourself?
So honestly, a lot of producers hit the ground kind of like with the mindset like, I want to get as much people I'm rapping on my beats so that I can see who's the best of those people. So for me, I've always gotten beats from producers reaching out to me, is what I realized. And that's easier for me. Like, you send me some fire, send me like a little folder of like 4 beats, because that's the main guy I'm working with right now. His name is King Sedulous. And he sends me at least 2 or 3 emails every day with at least 2 or 3 beats. So that's his strategy of getting his beats out to artists. So you guys can take that strategy or, develop on that, build on that. So
Do you prefer when producers like ask you what your style is, or do you want them to just give you a beat and just see how you handle it?
I just want them to give me a beat, because I believe I'm versatile enough to like be creative on any beat and tackle it with bringing my artistry to the beat.
Got you. And let's take it back to the videographers. I think you have some of the best content from it, like an independent artist that I've seen in person. You know what I mean? I think your videos are what really make your brand. What goes into planning that video? Do you use a director, or do you plan that yourself?
So interestingly enough, I go in with the vision for the song, and I think for me, the kind of person I am, I like the other person, the videographer, to bring their creativity to my music, so it feels like a team thing. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I don't really direct all my videos. I just know that I want to transcend the energy that I try to portray with the words I use through the visuals. So like if I'm rapping, I want to give all my energy in this video. I don't want to look like I'm bored or I'm chill. Like I want to look like uh, I put all into it. But yeah, I mostly let people direct the videos for me and kind of choose the locations and stuff. Of course, I'll seek out places where that'll look cool to shoot. So that
Hmm.
is my part in it, finding the environment. But other than that, I let people direct and we share ideas. We bounce back and forth.
And how is it like collaborating with different creatives? Do you feel like it's like a power struggle, or do you have a method for how you like interact with them?
So for me, my method is treat people with respect and they'll treat you with respect right back. So if I'm coming off with good energy and I'm like, we're sharing ideas, there's no need to be aggressive or, you know what I'm saying, like really demanding. We just kind of want to it's like throwing a dart on the wall. Eventually it's going to stick. We just want to put as much ideas we can get out there, and then one of the ideas is going to stick. So shout out to my homie George. Actually, he gave me that quote.
Yeah,
Like that's how ideas work. It's like looking at a dart on the wall, and eventually you keep throwing ideas out, and something's
hmm,
gonna stick. So
for sure, for sure. Shout out to George too, man. George is doing his thing in LA too.
yeah,
Um, Now let's talk about like for establishing your brand. I think this is something whenever I do anything with the digitalog or whenever I do anything like in person, I'm talking about brands probably 80% of the time, right? And whenever I think of brands, I think back to that time when we were like working on the Dream EP, right?
Yeah,
And we sat and we made the cover art and we sat and we changed the whole name to, you were AG Fernandez at the time, and just trying to figure out ways that like we could market around like a simple idea. And you've
yeah.
taken that from that point and you've like, it's grown exponentially. So describe your brand now and how you came into that.
So, all right, let me start off with what my brand was first of all. So, my brand when I first started, I was one of the rappers that wanted to come off and be as hard as I could be, even though I didn't live like a thug lifestyle. I was raised in a very decent area. I didn't have that much struggle growing up. The most struggle I had was not following my mom's rules. But growing up, I try to just be hard in my music. I try to rap about shooting, or you know what I'm saying, like, or like stuff that 50 Cent and people that inspired me would talk about. So as I develop my style, I try to put more of my story into my music. Like, for example, the passing of my grandma. That passing of my grandma is very important to my brand, because when that happened to me, I didn't know how to feel or express my emotions, but I knew that I made a vow on her grave that till the day that I die, I was gonna be active in music and keep writing and keep sharing my story. So that's like a key message from my brand. Like, I do this for the memory of my grandma, and it's tatted on my arm. I also have hard work and dedication tatted on my arm. So I don't know, as my life developed and I started to manifest things that I actually wanted to happen, it changed the type of music I made. I wanted to make music that I want to listen to and that I could dance to and enjoy. And I also wanted to know my demographics, know who I'm talking to, because that's key when you're making music. You don't want to just be, you got to be careful what you're saying to people. You can influence people to do drugs, or you can influence people to live a healthier lifestyle. So I became more conscious of that as I developed my brand in music. And my brand is pretty much just be positive, go outside, be active, stay healthy, work on your nutrition, and feed your mind as much information as you can, because that's the only way you become the best person you ever want to be.
And then you work that into your music a lot as well. And I like how you did that. You know, that's become like a major theme in all of your songs and all of your videos, even the stuff that you post on Instagram. So at what point did you say, I'm going to bridge, you know, all of these outside like influences and put them into my music, aside from like your grandma, of course?
I think it was, I'm going to tell you the project where it started. I think it was, I would say, the formative years. I think, let me see. Actually, Dream. Because on Dream is when I talked about where I was from, like tracks like Bronx, New York, or even a song called Trust on there was like me even trying to find out like how I deal with women and how I trust women and why women should trust me, and like what it would be like to have trust in a relationship with the woman. So I think like Dream is when I started getting more intellectual in my music. I started listening to a lot of Kendrick and J. Cole. So during that time, I was inspired by that type of music. And yeah, man, that's when it changed for me. That's when I really became conscious of the kind of music I was making, and I started to tell more of my story in the music.
Right. And then all of the, I feel like you got to a point in your career where like you just elevated spiritually, if that makes sense.
Bro, yeah. And you know what? That in regards, big shout out goes to my boy named John Lava, because he put
Hmm.
me on to something. I'm gonna just be honest, like he was one of the first people that came out to me as being a gay person, like being gay or liking men.
Hmm.
And I was very genuine with him. I didn't look at him any differently. I still treated him like I would treat myself. You know what I'm saying? I still treated him with respect. And he kind of put me along that spirituality, because it showed me that in order to grow as a person, you have to really expose yourself to different type of people who have been through different situations in life, or people who make certain decisions that you wouldn't make, because it gives you insight of how you want your life to be projected. You know what I'm saying? So that's the spirituality of it all. Like, just thinking of where you want to be in life, who you want to have around you, and what kind of vision you want to share with people. That's
Dope, dope, definitely. And then as far as like going back to your move, right? I think a lot of artists like get like scared about like the financial aspect of it, right? And
Mm,
understanding like, all right, once I go and I'm on my own, I'm by myself, they think that either A, they won't be able to afford it, or they think B, they'll get there and everything will fall into place immediately right there. Okay. So I think for if anybody has like financial advice, I think probably it'd be you. Right. So what would you say to an
definitely.
artist that's moving from, a small city to a big city and that's looking to pursue their their passion or their goal, and they really haven't figured out the financial aspect of it yet?
Man, my first initial step would tell them develop a budget. Manage the expenses that you think you're going to have, manage how you will think you'll have the money incoming in, and manage the money you want to have to invest in your brand, whether it's a savings or you buying stocks or you're studying Facebook marketing ads, or you really got to put the time in. My biggest advice is to get on YouTube and just start watching financial videos of how to manage your money video better and how to pay off debt. You don't want to go to any new state with that, because that just makes it twice as hard to be successful wherever you go. So
That's a fact. This is definitely a
yeah.
fact. And then as far as like, let's say you've got your your financial strategy down, but you obviously need to make money, right?
Hmm.
And so you started working with it's an insurance company, right?
I'm gonna tell you actually my first job as like when I got it as a person in general, and then I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you what I got in music. So I had a job at A&P in New Rochelle as
Mm-hmm.
a cash register person. I got fired that same day.
The same day that you started.
Yeah, because my cash register came up shorter. So that's one of the worst work experience I ever had in my life. So when I became an artist, it's like I was making music more in Philly. I think I was working with you as a brand ambassador for Dunkin' Donuts. That was probably one of my most lucrative jobs in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always working on campus, whether it's in the gym or making food and stuff. But as an artist, I was like, yo, I got to make money to be able to shoot videos, to be able to have nice clothes to have in the videos. So my strategy was always keep my brand looking good, like always look clean and professional. And two, um, make sure I had a job that could sustain my weekly living, like things that I pay for on a weekly. So
A lot of people think that they need to take a job like in the music industry though, right? So
mm,
how were you able to like take a job that wasn't in the music industry and like kind of like fuse that into your lifestyle?
because I've juggled two things in my life mainly. Always, I've juggled school and like knowledge, and trying to develop a profession as a businessman, and then I've also been an artist. I've tried to be the best artist that I could be. So in my whole tenure of living, I've been fusing both things. So it was never an issue for me to take a business job working corporate, because that was my major in college. I was an architecture major, then I transitioned to accounting major my sophomore year. So um, that led me to have a more business oriented mindset. So when I moved out to California and I was blessed enough to I first started doing temp jobs, obviously, and I had a job at Nike. So I was balancing athletic and retail versus corporate, because the temp jobs that I had were like accounting jobs, like a junior accountant, or I was doing payroll. And now I'm in the insurance industry. So working corporate and balancing music, I could say, has been a gift for me, because corporate money allows me to invest in the music and shoot videos and keep that content up with that. So,
So you got a 5 to 9 and you have a 9 to 5, right?
yep. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, look, this is the kind of artist I am. I wake up at 5 in the morning, record a song,
Yeah. Listen,
shower.
listen, I texted you. It was like 10 o'clock over here because I'm still on the East Coast. And he was
Right.
texting me back and I was like, wait a minute. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. He's like, yeah, I'll jump on the podcast too. And I was like, I'm stupid. I'm thinking that it's 10 o'clock on your time too. And then I
Right.
was like, I was shocked. I was amazed because you know why? A lot of people don't
Yeah.
have that. And I talk to a lot of people and they're like, they want to do so many things. They have all this stuff that they want to accomplish, but it's like, all right, they still wake up late. They don't invest in anything. They don't take their time to actually plan things out. Whereas you've actually taken the time and it's shown.
Always, man. I feel like I've been this person for at least 5 to at least 7 years. Waking up early, getting shit done, recording music. Like, this is just who I am, bro.
The good LA weather helps too, honestly. because I
Oh
can't
man.
wake up when it's cold, when it's cold out here. It's a
Oh,
little
it's
harder to
cool.
wake up, man.
Yeah,
It's a
man.
little harder. Now your following grew too, right?
Oh,
Tell me how you were able to manage to do that and how that's helped your career as well.
all right. So, I first one of my friends, George, the guy we mentioned earlier, he put me onto an app called Instalex, which targets a certain demographic of followers, like for example, J. Cole's followers, or maybe Joey Badass, or even Absol or Kendrick. And what it would do is take people who engage with their content and reach out to those people and kind of share likes and stuff. So I used that for a little. I have used a couple of social media like marketing businesses along the way in my journey of now I have 16.8K followers. But now I've been developing different strategies along the way apart from using those social media marketing companies. So right now, I'm not using any of them. I use my own strategy. What I do is I reach out to people organically who have engaged with my content previously. I go back, I like their content, I leave a comment. If they have an email, I send them an email of my book, but I make sure that I retain uh, the clients or the people who I interact with in my fan base, and I have their contact. I know their information. I know their birthday. I know where they're from. I make sure I know what their hobbies are and just stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Just to make it feel like they're more of a friend to me than just having them engage with my music.
Fact.
So
You got a bunch of
that's what's
friends,
that's
16,000
what's
friends.
yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, man, we cool through the screen. We haven't met
Yeah,
in person.
definitely. Definitely, definitely. Now, listen, how has this quarantine affected your creativity?
It's amplified it
Yeah, how so?
in ways where I have more time to be at home since I'm working from home with my corporate job. So I have more time to dedicate to things that I would normally do for my music on the side when I take like little increments and breaks. So my time management skills have improved during this period of time. As far as waking up, going outside, working out, writing music, writing in my journal. I write poems every day, so it's like I just keep a consistent routine of information coming through my brain. So,
And then what's next? After all of this is over, what are you going to do? When we look
oh
back
man,
at this in a year, what's going to happen with AG47?
bro, I want to do movies. I'm gonna have documentaries. I'm gonna do. I want to have a restaurant one day or a food truck. I like cooking. I really love cooking. I want to start a workout plan, maybe even to help people like be inspired by my workout plan. I want to. I want to have kids playing basketball. I want to have kids in poetry. I want to do all kind of stuff, bro. I have so many ideas,
That's
honestly.
good. That's
But I
good.
think I want. Oh, sorry, bro.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, lastly, to add on top of that goal, I want to be paid for my performances, and I want to be paid for that kind of stuff. Yeah. So.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. On my last podcast, I talked about ways that like companies can reach out to Generation Z, right? You ever heard of Generation Z before?
Enlighten me, bro.
So we're millennials, right? Generation Z is the generation underneath of us, right? So these are the young kids that are like just now entering the workforce. They're still in college, they're in high school, they're in middle school, right? In ways
Right.
that like we differ, right? And one of the things that it was saying is that if you want to reach out to Generation Z, now this is a big market that's going to obviously grow, is that they like to interact with brands on things other than like salesy things. They don't want people to like push stuff on them, right?
Right.
They actually want to like interact with like a game or a workout plan or like poetry or read like something that like a book or anything that you give to them. So that's a good strategy that you have. You probably didn't even
Yeah.
know that, did you?
Nah, I was just subconsciously doing it already.
It's good, and I'm working with an artist right now, and the main thing that she said to me was like, listen, I'm trying to hit that 18 to 23-year-old range, and I don't know how to do it because it's just my content is not connecting with them. And that's one, like, those are some of the strategies that I actually shared with her. And I mean, honestly, what you're doing is a really good blueprint for that, to reach younger crowds. And these people are reaching out to you too, obviously. I mean, I see every day that they're sending you like thank you letters and stuff like that. How does that feel for you?
Bro, that's like the most fulfilling feeling because it's like I do this out of the love of my heart. Nobody tells me to do this. Nobody's telling them to respond to me like that. They're doing this out of their will. So it's like it's just mutual, man. It's a connection. That's what a key connection is, where it's unconditional. You're doing because you want to, and they're doing because they want to. So yeah, that's the best feeling to me.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. That's about our time right now. That's episode 3 of the Cultural Connect podcast. This is AG47. If you guys, where can we find you on Instagram and Twitter or wherever you're at?
So Supreme AG47 is my handle for Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. Actually, if you go on my Instagram and just click the link in my bio, I created a website where you can just hit me up on all my socials and reach out to me easily. So,
and I'm gonna tell everybody, reach out to him now before he gets on what is it? Rhythm and Flow. That's the Netflix show, right? Yeah. Listen, he killed that freestyle. I was listening to. I had to hit the little Pop Smoke leg dance when I was listening to it, man. I had my hand in the air too. Yeah. Nah. That was dope, man. I appreciate you taking the time, man.
And just to be on the lookout, everybody. Thank you, bro. I got a lot of good content coming out. I'm about to drop a freestyle for Cold Summer. Fab is throwing a challenge for all the artists out there. You guys should definitely put your skills to the test and give it a shot. So I'm gonna be dropping that soon. Just wanted to plug that real quick.
All right, man. As soon as they let us outside, I'm connected. I'm going straight to LA.
I bet. Yeah, we like that, bro. We're gonna shoot some visuals, bro, for sure.
Of course. All right, man. Take it easy. I'll talk to you.
All right, bro. Peace.
Bye.
Yes, sir.